I'm Alex, and today's story will make you rethink what it means to be a family. Lauren had it all: wealth, status, a picture-perfect life. But when her children turned away from her and chose someone else, she realized too late that love is not about appearances, it is about presence. Can she earn back their trust, or has she lost them forever? Stay with me to find out. My name is Lauren Peterson, and at 38 years old, I had built a life that many envied. I lived in a stunning Victorian-style home in Pacific Heights, San Francisco, a place where every corner was photogenic enough to be the backdrop of my Instagram posts. With over 50,000 followers, my life was a curated masterpiece: lavish brunches, designer outfits, weekend getaways to Napa Valley. People admired me for my elegance, my seemingly perfect family, and my impeccable sense of style. My husband, Mark, was a senior manager at a well-known tech firm, constantly immersed in work. He made good money, enough for us to live comfortably. Our marriage had settled into a routine where he focused on his job, and I focused on creating the image of a flawless, sophisticated life. We had 2 children, Nathan, 8, and Lily, 6. They were adorable, intelligent, and, most importantly, the perfect accessories to my social media aesthetic. But in all honesty, I rarely spent real time with them. Most of our interactions were filtered through the lens of my camera: posed family outings, carefully coordinated holiday portraits, matching outfits for special occasions. If a moment wasn't Instagram-worthy, did it even matter? And then, there was Rebecca, my younger sister. Rebecca, at 34, was the complete opposite of me. She worked as a biochemist in the research and development department at Genentech, one of the top pharmaceutical companies in San Francisco. She lived alone in a luxury condominium in the Marina District, earning an impressive salary but choosing a life of simplicity over extravagance. Unlike me, who thrived on validation from strangers online, Rebecca found fulfillment in her work and the small joys of everyday life. While I was busy perfecting my public image, Rebecca was the one truly raising my children. I justified it to myself, thinking, she doesn't have kids of her own. She has time. Besides, she loves them. And it was true. She did love them, probably more than I ever showed them. Every weekend, she took them to the California Academy of Sciences, baked homemade apple pies, helped Nathan with his science homework, and attended Lily's ballet recitals. Did I feel guilty? No. Did I ever consider that my children might love her more than me? Not for a second. I had the perfect life, after all. The truth, however, was that I had built my life on a foundation of illusions. My house, my social media presence, my marriage, all of it was curated for an audience that I barely even knew. I was so busy playing the role of the ideal mother and wife that I never actually lived it. And Rebecca? She was the one who truly saw my children, the one who knew Nathan's favorite dinosaur and Lily's favorite bedtime story. She was the one who noticed the sadness in their eyes when I missed yet another school event or was too busy snapping a photo to actually listen to them. But I didn't care. I didn't care until the day I almost lost them forever. That was the day everything changed. The day my picture-perfect life shattered into something painfully real. And for the first time in my life, I had to face the truth. I wasn't the mother I thought I was. Hawaii had always been our family's sacred tradition. Every summer, we packed our bags and escaped to paradise, soaking in the luxury of the Royal Hawaiian, capturing flawless sunset photos, and proving to the world that we were the definition of a perfect family. But this year, something was different. Mom had proposed an exclusive family trip, one that did not include Rebecca. She does not belong in this kind of vacation, Mom had said over brunch at the Fairmont Hotel, adjusting the diamond bracelet on her wrist. She is single, has no children. She would not understand what a real family trip is supposed to be like. I had hesitated for only a moment before agreeing. The truth was, Rebecca had always been an uncomfortable presence in my life. She was too good, too selfless, too involved with my kids. It was easy to dismiss it as her just being the doting aunt, but deep down, I knew the truth: Nathan and Lily loved her. Maybe more than they loved me. So when Mom suggested we leave her behind, I did not argue. We booked our flights, packed our bags, and made sure Rebecca had no idea we were leaving. I knew Rebecca would be at the airport early, sitting in a quiet cafe, probably sipping a lavender honey latte and checking her bags one last time. She was always prepared, always thoughtful, and I knew without a doubt she had packed gifts for Nathan and Lily, a telescope for Nathan, ballet shoes for Lily. She had called me that morning 5 times. I ignored every call. She called Mom. No answer. She called Dad. Straight to voicemail. The plan was simple: avoid confrontation, board the flight, and deal with the fallout later. I kept my phone on silent as we walked through San Francisco International Airport, making our way toward our gate. Then, just as we reached security, I heard a voice call my name. Lauren. I froze. Rebecca was running toward me, her expression confused but hopeful. She had no idea what was happening. "Hey," she said, slightly out of breath. "Why has no one been answering their phones? I have been waiting at the cafe for an hour. Where is everyone?" Mom stepped forward, her smile tight. "Rebecca, you should not be here." Rebecca blinked. "What do you mean?" I glanced at my father, expecting him to step in, but as usual, he stayed silent. Mom sighed, as if this conversation was exhausting her. "Rebecca, this trip is for family." Her face fell. "I am family." Mom shook her head. "No, you are not. Not in the way that matters. You do not have a husband, you do not have children, and you do not understand what it means to be a real mother. You have spent too much time playing that role, but it is time to let it go." The words hit like a slap. Rebecca looked at me, searching for an explanation, for some kind of reassurance that this was not real. I could not meet her eyes. Nathan and Lily were standing next to me, gripping their carry-ons, sensing the tension but not fully understanding what was happening. "Wait," Rebecca said, shaking her head. "This has to be a mistake. We go to Hawaii together every year." "Not this year," I said quietly. She swallowed, trying to keep her voice steady. "Lauren, please tell me you did not agree to this." I said nothing. And that silence spoke louder than any words. The final boarding call echoed over the speakers. Mom took Nathan's hand, Dad took Lily's, and without another word, they walked toward the gate. I followed them. As I walked away, I forced myself not to look back. Rebecca was still standing there, completely still, completely shattered. And then, for the first time in my life, I felt something I never had before. Guilt. Rebecca did not leave the airport right away. Instead, she sat down, staring at her phone, trying one more time to call me. No answer. Then, as she scrolled through social media, she saw it. Mom had already posted a photo of us at the Royal Hawaiian, dressed in designer resort wear, sunglasses on, drinks in hand. Arrived in Hawaii with family. The best time begins now. The comments were instant. Such a beautiful family. So lucky to have these special moments together. What a dream vacation. Rebecca was nowhere in that post. She had been erased. Then, the message came through in the family group chat. "Rebecca, this trip is for real family only. It is time you stopped meddling in other people's children's lives." She gripped her phone, blinking away the sting of betrayal, but it did not stop there. Another message came in, from me. "Hey, can you take care of Nathan and Lily when we get back? And make sure the house is stocked. Thanks." No apology. No remorse. Just another command, another expectation that she would always be there, always ready to pick up the pieces of my life when I was done playing pretend. She sat there, looking around at the airport full of people hugging their families, parents lifting their children, couples holding hands, and she realized something. She was completely, utterly alone. And that was the moment she knew. This was no accident. We had chosen to abandon her. For the next 2 weeks, I convinced myself it did not matter. Rebecca would get over it. Nathan and Lily would forget about her. But the cracks had already started forming. Nathan refused to smile for pictures. Lily barely spoke. Every time I tried to play with them, they would pull away, whispering about how much they missed Aunt Becca. The guilt was growing. I ignored it. I told myself this vacation was perfect. That I had made the right choice. And then, the moment we landed back in San Francisco, I was about to learn a truth that would shatter everything. Rebecca had not just been sitting back, waiting for us. She had spent the last 2 weeks preparing for war. And in just a few minutes, in the middle of the airport, in front of dozens of strangers, she was going to make me face the consequences of what I had done. The air inside San Francisco International Airport was crisp, but I felt warm in my designer dress, fresh from 2 weeks of sunshine, cocktails, and curated perfection. Our vacation had been everything social media would adore: breathtaking ocean views, luxury shopping, and staged family moments that looked effortlessly joyful. Everything about the trip had been carefully planned, from the angles of our Instagram photos to the coordinated outfits we wore for dinner. And yet, standing there, waiting for our luggage, something felt off. Nathan and Lily, usually bouncing with post-vacation energy, stood still. They were not smiling, were not excited. Instead, they exchanged glances with each other, gripping their suitcases like something was about to happen. Then I saw her. Rebecca. She stood just beyond the security gate, waiting for us, her posture firm, her expression unreadable. But she was not alone. Beside her stood a man in a dark suit, holding a folder. A lawyer. A cold feeling crept up my spine. The moment Nathan and Lily saw Rebecca, something in them shifted. They let go of my hand. They ran, not to me, not to Mom, not to Dad, but straight into Rebecca's arms. Aunt Becca. Lily's voice cracked as she buried her face in Rebecca's shoulder, her tiny frame trembling. Nathan hugged her tightly, his breath shaking, as if he had been holding it in for 2 whole weeks. I felt a flash of irritation. Seriously? After all the money we spent on that trip? Mom stiffened beside me. This is absurd, she muttered under her breath. I forced a smile, stepping forward, keeping my voice light. Rebecca, what are you doing here? She lifted her head, still holding on to my children. Our children. I am here for them. Her voice was steady, controlled. Mine was not. You are being ridiculous, I laughed nervously. Come on, the trip is over. Nathan, Lily, let's go home. But Nathan took a step back. We do not want to go home with you, he said. His voice was clear, unwavering. I felt the ground shift beneath me. Dad, always silent in moments of conflict, finally spoke. Rebecca, this is not your place. She did not even look at him. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a thick stack of papers. She handed them to me. My hands trembled as I read the bold letters at the top. Petition for partial custody. The room felt like it was closing in. You cannot be serious, I whispered. Rebecca met my gaze, unflinching. I am. A hush fell over the airport. People were watching now, their whispers growing, phones raised to record. Nathan stepped forward first. Mom, he said softly, do you even know what my favorite book is? I blinked, confused. Of course I do. Then what is it? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Lily's voice was smaller but just as sharp. Do you know what size my ballet shoes are? More silence. Rebecca sighed, her expression unreadable. "Lauren, I know this is hard to hear. But you need to listen." She pulled out her phone and pressed play. A voice recording echoed through the terminal speakers. "Mom never comes to my ballet recitals. Aunt Becca always does. Dad is always on his phone. He missed my science fair. I feel like we only exist for Instagram pictures." My breath caught. I looked at Mom. At Dad. At Mark. None of them said a word. Because there was nothing to say. The truth was staring me in the face. I had failed them. Rebecca had been preparing for this moment. She reached into her bag again and pulled out printed screenshots from my Instagram. On one side were our perfect vacation photos, smiling by the pool, posing on the beach, toasting over candlelit dinners. On the other side, the real moments. Nathan sitting alone at the dinner table while I staged a perfect couples shot with Mark. Lily, dressed in her ballet costume, looking out into the audience, and finding no one there for her. Tears burned my eyes. "Lauren," Rebecca's voice softened, "I do not want to take them away from you. But I cannot let them keep feeling like this." Nathan clung to Rebecca's side, his small hand gripping her sweater. "Mom," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "I do not think you love us." The words shattered me. I reached out, desperate, but he flinched. And that was when I knew. I had already lost them. I could not speak. I could not fight. Because for the first time, I understood. Rebecca was not the villain. She was not trying to take my children away. She was saving them. And as Nathan and Lily clung to her, refusing to let go, I realized something devastating. If I did not change, if I did not fight for them the way Rebecca had, then this moment, this humiliating, painful moment, would not just be a wake-up call. It would be the end of my family. I stood frozen, the airport buzzing around me, but I felt numb, weightless, as if I had just stepped outside of my own body. The cold, hard truth settled deep in my stomach. Nathan and Lily had chosen Rebecca. My children, my own children, had turned away from me in front of dozens of strangers, in front of my parents, in front of Mark. And worst of all, I could not even blame them. I had spent years building an illusion of perfection, and in one devastating moment, Rebecca had ripped it all away. Mom was the first to recover, straightening her shoulders, her voice sharp as ever. "Rebecca, enough of this spectacle. Give the children back to Lauren." Rebecca did not flinch. She looked at Mom the way someone looks at a stranger, her voice calm but unwavering. "No, Mother." Mom's face twisted in shock. "Excuse me." Dad, always the quiet presence in the background, finally stepped forward, his voice tight. "Rebecca, we can talk about this in private." Rebecca shook her head. "No. That is exactly the problem. We always hide things, push them aside, pretend nothing is wrong. But today, right here, we face it." I felt rage bubbling up, not at Rebecca, but at myself, at this situation, at how exposed and powerless I suddenly felt. I reached for Nathan's arm. "Sweetheart, we are going home." Nathan stepped backward. My stomach dropped. Lily clutched Rebecca's sleeve, her voice small but firm. "We do not want to go home." The words hit like a slap. I turned to Mark, expecting him to step in, to fix this, but his face was unreadable. He was watching everything unfold, but he did not defend me. Why wasn't he defending me? Rebecca took a slow, deliberate breath, then handed the custody papers to Mark. He took them, flipping through them, his face growing darker with every page. Finally, he looked at me. "Lauren," his voice was steady, but there was something in it I did not like. "We need to talk. Not here. Not now." My carefully crafted life was falling apart in the middle of an airport, and I had no way to stop it. Mom's voice was sharp, dripping with authority. You cannot be serious about this, Rebecca. This is outrageous. Rebecca's calm gaze met hers head-on. You think this is outrageous? You think standing here, finally facing the damage we have done, is outrageous? She pulled out her phone. And pressed play. The recordings continued playing, one after another. Nathan's voice, Mom only smiles when she takes pictures. Lily's voice, Aunt Becca always comes to my ballet recitals. Mom never does. Nathan again, I feel like we are just props for her Instagram. Every single word felt like a dagger to my chest. People were watching. Some were recording. I could feel the weight of their judgment, their whispers piercing into me. Mom looked furious. Turn that off right now. Rebecca ignored her. No, you need to hear this. Then came the final recording. Nathan, his voice soft, almost hesitant, I wish Aunt Becca was my real mom. The entire world shattered. I heard Mom gasp. I heard Dad curse under his breath. I felt something inside me crack, something I had been holding onto for years, the belief that as long as everything looked perfect, it was perfect. Nathan's words had ripped through that lie like a blade. I wanted to yell. I wanted to scream at Rebecca, at Mark, at my parents, at anyone but myself. But the truth was undeniable. Nathan and Lily did not trust me anymore. They did not feel safe with me. And worst of all, they were right. I had been absent. I had put my image before them. I had ignored the moments that mattered, the ones Rebecca had quietly picked up. I had lost them long before today. And if I did not do something now, I would lose them forever. I took a step forward, my voice shaking. Rebecca. She looked at me, waiting. I felt the words building in my throat, but they were words I had never said before. I do not want to lose them. Rebecca exhaled, closing her eyes for a moment. Then, to my shock, she said, then prove it. For the first time in years, she was giving me a choice. A way back. But it would not be easy. It would not be instant. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something real. Fear. Because if I failed this time, there would be no second chances. Mark finally spoke, his voice calm but unforgiving. Lauren, if you want to keep this family, you need to wake up. I turned to him, my heart pounding. What does that mean? He handed me the custody papers. It means, he said slowly, Rebecca is not the only one considering this. The world stopped moving. Mark, my husband, was thinking about taking our kids away from me too. I had a choice. I could keep pretending everything was fine. Or I could finally face the truth. And for the first time, I did not care about the strangers watching, about Mom's opinion, about social media. I cared about Nathan and Lily. I looked at them, still clinging to Rebecca. This was my last chance. I had to fight for them. And I had to start now. The drive home from the airport was silent. Nathan and Lily sat in the back seat, their small hands still clinging to Rebecca's as if she were their lifeline. Mark drove without speaking, his grip tight on the wheel. Mom and Dad had left in their own car, too stunned and humiliated to say anything. And me? I sat there, staring out the window, my heart pounding. The weight of what had just happened settled in heavier than anything I had ever felt before. For years, I had convinced myself that if it looked perfect, it was perfect. That the right photos, the right captions, the right vacation spots could make up for the cracks beneath the surface. But those cracks had shattered today. And now, I was standing in the ruins of what I had built, watching Rebecca hold the pieces of my family in her hands. I wanted to scream. I wanted to beg her to fix it for me, the way she always had. But this time, it was not her job to fix it. It was mine. That night, Rebecca stayed at my house. Not because I asked her to. Because Nathan and Lily refused to let her leave. I sat in my room, the door slightly open, listening. Rebecca tucked them into bed. She read Lily a bedtime story. She helped Nathan with a book report due next week that I had not even known about. She did all the things I should have been doing. And the worst part? It felt natural. I was the outsider in my own home. And that realization destroyed me. I wanted to go to them. I wanted to apologize, to tell them I would do better. But words were not enough anymore. They did not trust me. I had to earn it back. I woke up to the smell of breakfast. For a split second, I smiled. Had Mark cooked? Then I heard laughter from the kitchen. Nathan's voice. Lily's giggles. And Rebecca. My stomach twisted. I walked downstairs to see Rebecca standing at the stove, flipping pancakes, Nathan and Lily setting the table beside her. The sight was so painfully normal, so effortless, that I hesitated. Then Lily spotted me. Her small face froze, like she was unsure how to react. I had done that. I had made my own daughter afraid of me. "Morning," Rebecca said without looking up. I forced a smile. "Morning." The tension hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Nathan sat down without speaking. Lily hesitated before taking a seat next to Rebecca. Mark walked in, coffee in hand. He glanced at me, then at Rebecca, then back at me. "You should sit," he said simply. I sat. But I did not feel like I belonged. For the next few days, I tried. I picked Nathan up from school instead of sending the nanny. I helped Lily with her ballet shoes, even though my hands fumbled with the ribbons. I put my phone away at dinner, forcing myself to engage, to listen, to be present. But every time I tried to reach out, there was hesitation. Every time I asked Nathan how his day was, he gave one-word answers. Every time I sat next to Lily, she subtly moved closer to Rebecca. I was trying. I was doing everything I could. But it was not enough. Because trust does not come back overnight. And love is not something you demand. I had spent years pushing them away. Now, I had to wait for them to come back to me. A week later, Mom called. "You are embarrassing yourself, Lauren," she said coldly. I swallowed hard. "Excuse me? This whole act. Catering to them. You are their mother, not their servant. They should respect you." My chest tightened. "They do not owe me respect, Mom. I have to earn it." Mom scoffed. "Rebecca has filled your head with nonsense. You are their mother. That should be enough." I gripped the phone, my fingers shaking. I had spent my entire life trying to be the perfect daughter for her. Trying to make her proud, to live up to her impossible standards. And where had it gotten me? I was on the verge of losing my own children. Because I had followed her lead. I closed my eyes. I need to do this my way. Mom's voice turned sharp. "Do not be dramatic, Lauren. You are not seriously considering letting Rebecca have a say in your children's lives, are you?" I exhaled, finally seeing everything clearly. "Mom," I said, my voice steady. "Rebecca is the only reason they still have a family to come back to." Silence. Then Mom's voice, cold as ice. "You are making a mistake." I hung up. And for the first time in my life, I did not care what she thought. Rebecca stayed. Not because she had to. Because Nathan and Lily needed her. And I needed to learn from her. It was not a magical fix. I did not suddenly become the perfect mother overnight. But every day, I showed up. Every day, I made small choices, to listen instead of dismiss, to put my children first instead of my image, to be there instead of just existing. And slowly, so slowly it hurt, they started to trust me again. One night, as I tucked Lily into bed, she reached out and took my hand. And I nearly cried. I was not fixed. I was not perfect. But for the first time in my life, I was trying to be the mother they deserved. And that was a start. This story is not just about a mother's mistakes, it is about redemption, second chances, and a painful journey of rebuilding what was lost. Lauren believed for years that appearances defined love, that the right photos and carefully curated moments could make up for the real connections she neglected. But in the end, love is not about perfection, it is about presence, patience, and truly seeing the people who matter most. Rebecca's unwavering love and the children's quiet heartbreak became the wake-up call Lauren never expected. And when faced with the truth, she had a choice, to fight for her family or to lose them forever. We all make mistakes, but true love is found in the willingness to change, to listen, and to grow. This is a story of hope, a reminder that it is never too late to become the person your loved ones deserve. Blue Heart, if this story moved you, like this video to show your support. Speech Balloon Comment 1, if you believe love is stronger than blood. Loudspeaker, share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Bell, subscribe for more gripping, real-life stories that touch the heart. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay strong and believe in second chances.